Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Ling Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's stories. Authorities provided an update on the home shooting that left 6 people dead. Police say the mother and baby were killed assassination-style. Law enforcement in Southern California are mourning the loss of another sheriff's deputy. The officer lost his life while on duty responding to a call. Egg prices have doubled since last July. The high prices are taking a toll on both consumers and businesses. In an updated press conference on the home shooting that left 6 dead, authorities say the shooter killed a teen mother and her baby assassination-style. No arrests have been made yet.
In a press conference on Tuesday, the Tulare County Sheriff said the shooter stood over the teen mother and her baby before firing the shots.
She was found, along with the infant, laying next to her mother, his mother, down the street. We believe that the 16-year-old teenage mother and her small infant actually was fleeing and running from the scene. What we have since learned through forensics, that it was clear that the shooters stood over the top of the 16-year-old mother and fired rounds into her head. The 10-month-old infant also suffered from the same attack.
They were murdered, quote, assassination-style. The other 4 victims ranged from 19 to 72 years old, including a grandmother who was shot as she slept. Their autopsies are expected to be completed later this week.
The victims are here. Eladio Perez, 52 years of age. Marcos Perez, 19 years of age. Jennifer Anaya, 49 years of age. Rosa Perez, 72 years of age. Alyssa Perez, 16 years of age. And Nicholas Perez, 10 months of age.
Boudreaux believes the murders were deliberate. He also walked back on his earlier comments to reporters that the violence was likely a cartel hit, saying that investigators are still looking into that.
Detectives, at this point, we do believe that we are in a search for 2 known suspects. Potentially a third in an escape vehicle, but we don't know that to be true.
A $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to the suspect's arrests.
Riverside County Sheriff's Department is mourning after another loss of one of its members in the line of duty. The deputy's death is one of the many recent law enforcement deaths in Southern California.
30-year-old Deputy Darnell Calhoun was fatally shot in the city of Lake Elsinore on January 13th. He was the first to arrive at the scene of a disturbance. Deputy Calhoun later died at the hospital. A second deputy found Calhoun wounded in the street and confronted the suspect, later identified as 42-year-old Jesse Navarro, in a shootout. Navarro was transported to a hospital and is still in critical condition.
I'm going to tell you we will get through it. We will hold our heads high, and we will come right back to work to answer another call for service that could put our lives in jeopardy again.
On behalf of the Calhoun's family, the Riverside Sheriff's Department released a statement that read in part, "His life, his commitment, and dedication to his family and his community will remain an inspiration. He was genuine, kind, loyal, and had the heart of a servant. We take great comfort in knowing that Darnell led a life well lived. We are grateful to our community, the Riverside County Sheriff's Office, and law enforcement agencies around the country that have uplifted us." Friday's shootout comes just 2 weeks after another deputy in East Los Angeles was slain in the line of duty. 32-year-old Deputy Isaiah Cordero was fatally shot on December 29th during a traffic stop in the city of Jurupa Valley. According to authorities, Cordero pulled over a pickup truck. The suspect, 42-year-old William McKay, shot Cordero as he approached the vehicle. Law enforcement from 2 counties, Riverside and San Bernardino, pursued McKay, which led to a shootout between McKay and deputies. McKay died when he crashed his truck. This was the first time the Riverside Sheriff's Department has had a deputy killed in the line of duty since 2003.
We are sadly in a time where there is a growing population that has absolutely zero respect for other people. They have zero respect for authority. They have zero respect for law enforcement. that over what seemingly seem to be minor disagreements are willing to engage law enforcement in life and death gun battles all too frequently.
There have been an outpouring of support from the community for both deputies. A candlelight vigil was held Tuesday for Darnell Cahoon in the city of Elsinore, and another one will be held on Wednesday in the city of Marietta.
The Alameda County Sheriff's Department is facing criticism over its issuing of concealed carry weapon permits. The California Rifle and Pistol Association has sent a pre-litigation letter.
The Alameda County Sheriff's Department is facing criticism over its concealed carry weapon permit process. In addition to delays, complaints ranging from constitutional violations to invasive obstructions have surfaced. As a result, the California Rifle and Pistol Association, or CRPA, has sent the county a pre-litigation letter. Attorney Constantinos Moros, who represents the CRPA, said, "Other than the rare elites who were already getting permits from Alameda before, we don't know anybody who has been issued a permit in Alameda. We haven't received word that they are issuing permits, and further, they are placing all sorts of unreasonable requirements on applicants." In his September 16th letter to Alameda County Sheriff's Office, Moros references the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin case. He also claims that Alameda County's permit fees are restrictive. In the New York case, the Supreme Court ruled that expensive permitting fees and lengthy wait times deny ordinary citizens their right to bear arms. The court also determined that the proper cause requirement for obtaining an unrestricted license to carry a concealed firearm violates the 14th Amendment. New York-based attorney Eleni Melikou told the Epoch Times that the U.S. Supreme Court ruling may force states to transition from a may issue to a shall issue permitting model. May issue jurisdictions allow the issuing authority to deny an application even if the applicant meets the permit requirements. But shall issue means the issuing authorities are required to provide concealed carry permits. Back in California, the Alameda County Sheriff's Office has until January 18th to respond to the pre-litigation letter.
In California, more than 600 storm-related mudslides were reported over the past few weeks. On Tuesday, a passenger train traveling in the San Francisco Bay Area was halted by a mudslide. The local fire department says the train was traveling near Niles Canyon when a 100-foot mudslide on the tracks blocked its progress. But the train was not derailed. Roughly 220 passengers on board were safely evacuated onto a rescue train with no reports of injuries. In a situation almost straight out of a Hollywood movie, 3 people were trapped inside a car that was teetering on the edge of a cliff. California Highway Patrol in Santa Cruz County responded to a phone call reporting the incident on Friday. An officer was able to calmly direct the trapped occupants safely out of the vehicle. There were no injuries reported. If you love yourself some eggs for breakfast, you're likely to find yourself getting frustrated at how expensive they've gotten lately. The high prices are taking a toll on both consumers and businesses.
Eggs are currently priced at almost $7 a dozen in California. According to the USDA, prices have doubled since July of last year. And eggs are now not only pricey, but stores are limiting how many each customer can buy. Consumers, including small businesses, are feeling the pain. Misty Seagraves owns a home bakery that opens once a week. She told ABC7 she had to alter her menu items due to not being able to afford the eggs. She said, "Last week, I did a lot of custards and stuff like that, so I didn't do any muffins because you have to find that toss-up between what are we going to be able to offer." Editor Phil Lempert at supermarketguru.com said the bird flu is causing the egg shortage. He wrote, "We had to cull close to 60 million laying hens, and the problem with bird flu is that if one hen gets it, you have to cull the entire flock." Additionally, the rising cost of chicken feed and state regulations on cage-free and organic eggs are driving up prices even further. Californians are now paying a premium for breakfast and baked goods as the cost gets passed along.
We are going to take a short break, but here is a look at what we got for you when we come back. A psychologist questioned transgenderism for children at a local school board meeting. She says the state then threatened her license. The University of Southern California is banning the word field from its curriculum, citing racist implications. The change drew criticism from students and social media users. And 70 dogs and cats were rescued from a house fire. The furry friends are currently held at the Animal Services Department. That and more on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Liang Zhang. A psychologist in California says that she had to leave the state after questioning transgenderism for children. She says her license was threatened by the state and she was targeted and threatened by left-wing extremist groups. Dr. Shen Anderson, a clinical and forensic psychologist and native to Thousand Oaks, says she was forced to leave California after her license to practice was threatened after she spoke out against transgender ideology.
Adolescence is the time when identity is explored and begins to solidify. Prior to that time, children do not have the brain architecture and neural connections to understand abstract thinking.
Last June, Anderson confronted Conejo Valley Unified School, alleging that 8-year-olds were being exposed at school to sexual issues beyond their comprehension.
Introducing such complex subjects years before these children can comprehend creates confusion and misunderstandings that cause cognitive, emotional, and psychological issues that are leading them to my office.
During the meeting, she told the story of a patient who sought her help. She and the patient eventually discovered that domestic sexual abuse was the cause of the patient's body dysmorphia, and not because she was confused about her gender identity. Anderson, who has 23 years' experience, says she was forced to leave the state and move to Virginia last September. She says that she received multiple death threats and was targeted by left-wing extremist groups, including Antifa. The school board committee ended up filing a 51-page complaint against her to the California Board of Psychology. The complaint, which was obtained by the Epoch Times, alleges that Anderson is, quote, an imminent risk of substantial harm to students and families within the school district and to all residents within Thousand Oaks and Ventura County. Anderson is now the co-director for ethics and advocacy of the American Association of Christian Counselors. She says she isn't backing down, but rather taking her fight for liberty to the national level. The University of Southern California School of Social Work is replacing the word field with predicum in its curriculum. They say the change is to avoid racist implications, but the move has drawn criticism from observers. The University of Southern California School of Social Work is replacing the word field with predicum in its curriculum in order to avoid racist implications. That is according to a January 9th letter from the Predicum Education Department that was subsequently posted to Twitter. The letter said this change supports anti-racist social work practice by replacing language that could be considered anti-black or anti-immigrant in favor of inclusive language. Language can be powerful, and phrases such as going to the field or field work may have connotations for descendants of slavery and immigrant workers that are not benign. On Twitter, commentators, including university alumni, called the letter empty virtual signaling, woke, a bit of stretch, and ridiculous. Students don't seem to be going for it wholeheartedly either. A University of Southern California student told the university's student newspaper, the Daily Trojan, that at this point, it looks like we are fishing for something of relevance, and that it seems like a bit of stretch. But other students said that it isn't their place to decide what is or isn't offensive to others if their families have never been through slavery. Speaking of schools, California Distinguished Schools program returned this year to recognize hundreds of California elementary schools. The program had been on hiatus while COVID-19 restrictions paused the reporting of school data.
The California Distinguished Schools program is back. This year, 356 out of California's nearly 6,000 elementary schools were recognized as distinguished schools. Cupertino Union School District is home to 14 distinguished elementary schools, the most of any school district across the state. State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurman said in the January 6 announcement, California Distinguished Schools represent examples of not just excellent teaching, learning, and collaboration, but also highly successful data-driven school efforts ranging from professional development for educators to mental health and social-emotional wellness strategies to address the needs of students and families. Schools are recognized for either closing the achievement gap or student performance based on the statistics from the California School Dashboard. The California Distinguished Schools program began in 1985 and returned this year after COVID-19 restrictions paused reporting of school data. Only elementary schools were recognized this year. Elementary and secondary schools are recognized in alternating years.
Firefighters rescued 70 cats and dogs, mostly Pomeranians, from a house fire in Contra Costa County. They responded to the blaze at around 11 a.m. on Tuesday to a two-story home on Barber Lane in Martinez. One resident was transported to hospital. Two other residents were uninjured. Authorities told SF Gate that the animals were temporarily taken to the Contra Costa County Animal Services Department. San Diego football fans and puppy fans can unite to cheer on two Helen Woodward Animal Center pups. The furry brothers made it to this year's annual Animal Planet Puppy Bowl.
The Helen Woodward Animal Center sent two puppy brothers to the 19th annual Animal Planet Puppy Bowl. The furry brothers will compete for the Lombardi Trophy for the Team Fluff on February 12th. Carlos and Crockett are ducks and blends with, quote, distinctly unique looks, but both of their gameplay is equally on point. The annual Puppy Bowl features two teams of adorable puppies representing rescues and shelters from across the country. The Woodward Center first joined the Puppy Bowl in 2019. Last year, Helen Woodward Animal Center had three competitors in the big game.
Disney's California Adventure Park will celebrate Chinese Lunar New Year starting January 20th through February 15th. Festivities include entertainment, a parade, and themed merchandise. Disney's California Adventure in Anaheim has revealed the plans to celebrate Chinese Lunar New Year of the Rabbit. The festivities will start January 20th through February 15th. Festivities include Mulan and her Disney Pals Parade and Hurry Home, a 6-minute nighttime water show. The shows will take place multiple times throughout the day. Two new Lunar New Year themed marketplace pop-ups are Bamboo Blessings and Wrapped with Love. Guests can enjoy Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean cuisine from dining marketplaces in the park. Limited edition alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic holiday beverages will also be for sale. Commemorative souvenirs will be available for purchase. Guests can also expect crafts and activities. A full list of all available park attractions is available online. Shen Performing Arts wrapped up its Berkeley performance on Monday. Audience members were inspired, saying Shen wear their heart on their sleeves. One person said he had watched the show about 10 times.
During its last performances in Berkeley, Shen left audience members in awe and wanting more.
Oh, it's spectacular. It's so beautiful that it just takes your breath away. And the men and the women are both just so elegant and graceful, and the costumes are very ethereal, and the music is very inspiring as well. So just visually, it's a tremendous experience.
The costumes were unbelievable. The dancing, the choreography, just, absolutely blew me away. I really enjoyed it.
Some audience members were inspired to incorporate aspects of traditional Chinese culture into their lives.
It inspires me as a painter. I think I would like to paint some of the dancers, and because it's something that I never see or people don't see, and it's I'm just a little overwhelmed by the quality of and the mastery of these dancers and the musicians as well.
The costumes were incredible. I was sitting there watching the choreography, and I was just as much looking at the costumes and the way that the fabrics moved and the way that the costumes really emphasized just the movements of the dancers, the athleticism, and they have an expression of their own, you know? So it was beautiful.
For former Mayor Bill Cope, this is his 9th or 10th time watching Shen Yun.
There's an awful lot about 5,000 years of Chinese culture that I don't know, and most people don't know, being Westerners or Caucasians here in the States. So I think there's an awful lot to learn, and I enjoy going to things that are informational, educational, and entertaining.
Thousands of years of Chinese culture was nearly destroyed and lost under the communist regime. Shen Yun's mission is to revive that divinely inspired culture.
For someone like me who's not Chinese, I think it will enable me to empathize more with those who've lived through communism. And, it's easy to oppose it as an American, but to see a performance like that, I think helps you to appreciate what people have actually suffered. And so there are moments where, you just feel sort of intense sadness and empathy in the people.
The desire for virtue and truth and compassion, and I love that forbearance. It looked like it was really a universal spirituality, and I could really connect with the pain that people are feeling and the beauty of the culture and religion.
And when it came to like the sort of elements of faith and religion, they very much wear their heart on their sleeves. And that's, I think, kind of an uncommon thing to see anymore, but something that I very much appreciate. I was glad to see. It's refreshing.
Shen Yun's 8 dance troupes are touring worldwide, one of which will head to Folsom with 3 performances at the Harris Center for the Arts. NTD News, Berkeley, California.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.